Captain Lyra Moonwhisper stood on the bridge of her ship, the Starweaver. Her long silver hair moved like water as she walked between the control stations. She had been alive for over 300 years, and in all that time, she had never seen anything that worried her. The Zephyrian Empire was the most powerful force in the galaxy. Their technology was perfect. Their ships were fast. Their weapons could destroy planets. Today was supposed to be a simple day. They were looking for new worlds and new species to add to their empire. It was routine work that Lyra had done hundreds of times before. "Captain," called Zara Voidheart from her scanning station. Zara was not like Lyra. Where Lyra was soft and organic, Zara was made of living crystal. Her body caught the light from the ship's displays and threw it back in rainbow colors. "I am picking up something strange." Lyra walked over to Zara's station. The scanner showed a small ship moving through space. It looked crude and simple. The hull was made of basic metal. The engines seemed primitive. Everything about it screamed that whoever built it was not very advanced. "What species built this thing?" Lyra asked. Zara's crystal fingers danced over her controls. "Unknown, Captain, but the life signs inside are organic. Bipedal. No psychic abilities that I can detect. They seem to be called humans." Maya Foster looked up from her biology station. Maya was a Dreknari, a species that looked like walking lizards with sharp teeth and claws. Her people were warriors who had conquered many worlds. "Humans?" she said with a laugh that sounded like rocks grinding together. "What kind of name is that?" "A boring one," said Kira Stormwind. Kira was pure energy held together by a special suit. She was their navigator and could sense things across vast distances. They only have 2 arms and 2 legs. No claws, no natural weapons, no psychic powers. They are completely defenseless. Lyra nodded. This was typical. When her people found new species, they were always primitive. The Zephyrians had been traveling the stars for thousands of years. Most species they found had barely learned to make fire. "Run a full scan," Lyra ordered. "Let's see what these humans are really like." Zara began the scanning process. Energy beams shot out from the Starweaver and washed over the human ship. The scan would tell them everything: how many humans were on board, what their technology was like, how strong their weapons were, whether they would be useful as slaves or if they should just be destroyed. "The ship is called the USS Liberty," Zara reported. "It has about 500 humans on board. Their technology appears to be fusion-based, very basic. Their weapons look like simple projectile systems. Nothing that could threaten us, Bella." Starforge laughed from her engineering station. Bella was half organic and half machine. Her cybernetic parts glowed with soft blue light. "Projectile weapons? What are they going to do, throw rocks at us?" "Their ship is moving very slowly," Kira added. "At that speed, it would take them years to cross a single star system. How did they even get this far from their homeworld?" Lyra studied the display. The human ship did look pathetic. It was long and angular, but not in a graceful way like her ship. It looked like someone had taken metal boxes and stuck them together. There were no smooth curves, no artistic beauty. It was purely functional and ugly. "Captain," said Luna Nightshade from the communication station. Luna was a Mindari, a species that could read thoughts and speak directly into other beings' minds. Her skin was pale blue and seemed to glow softly. "I'm trying to read their thoughts, but something is wrong." "What do you mean?" Lyra asked. Luna pressed her fingers to her temples. Her face twisted in concentration. "I cannot get through. It is like their minds are protected by some kind of barrier. But that is impossible. No primitive species has mental defenses." "Try harder," Lyra commanded. Luna tried again. This time she gasped and pulled her hands away from her head. "There is something there, something that burns to touch. I have never felt anything like it." Nova Dreamcatcher looked up from her science station. Nova was from the archive worlds, ancient planets where all knowledge was stored. Her people had studied every species in the galaxy for millions of years. "That is very strange," she said in her soft musical voice. "Mental barriers require very advanced technology or natural evolution that takes millions of years to develop. Maybe they are not as primitive as they look, Maya suggested, but she did not sound worried. Even if they have some mental tricks, look at their ship. It is held together with basic metal. Our weapons could cut through it like paper. The scanning continued. More and more data flowed into their computers. The humans seemed to be just another weak species that would soon bow. Before the might of the Zephyrian Empire, Lyra was already thinking about how to use them. Humans might make good workers. They seemed sturdy enough for manual labor. Scan complete, Zara announced. All data has been recorded and stored. Excellent, Lyra said. Now let us see what these humans are really made of. But as Zara began to process the scan data, something strange happened. Her crystal body began to flicker. The rainbow lights that usually danced across her surface became dim and uncertain. Captain, Zara said, and for the first time in all the years Lyra had known her, Zara sounded worried. I think we may have made a mistake. What kind of mistake? Lyra asked. The energy readings are not making sense. What we thought were simple fusion reactors are showing power output levels that should be impossible. And these projectile weapons... Zara paused, her crystal form flickering more rapidly. Captain, I think they might be kinetic bombardment systems. That cannot be right, Bella said, but her voice had lost its confident tone. Kinetic bombardment systems can crack planets. No primitive species has that kind of technology. Kira suddenly straightened up at her navigation station. Captain, the human ship is moving. So, we knew it was moving before. No, Captain. It is accelerating. Fast. Very fast. Lyra looked at the display. The human ship, which had been moving slowly through space, was now picking up speed at an alarming rate. But that was impossible. At that rate of acceleration, the humans inside should be crushed flat. How are they surviving those forces? Maya asked, her warrior instincts finally beginning to sense danger. I do not know, Kira replied. But Captain, there is something else. They are turning toward us. The bridge of the Star Weaver became very quiet. For the first time in 300 years, Captain Lyra Moonwhisper felt something she had almost forgotten. Fear. The human ship USS Liberty completed its turn and was now pointed directly at them, and it was still accelerating. The bridge of the Star Weaver was filled with the sound of alarms. Red lights flashed across every surface as the ship's computers tried to make sense of what they were seeing. Captain Lyra Moonwhisper gripped the arms of her chair as she watched the human ship grow larger on the main display. How fast are they moving now, she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Kira Stormwind's energy form flickered with stress. They are accelerating at over 50 Gs, Captain. No organic being should be able to survive that. And yet they are, Zara Voidheart said from her scanning station. Her crystal body was now flashing rapidly with different colors, a sign that she was processing information faster than ever before. Captain, I have been going through the scan data again. What we found is impossible. Explain, Lyra commanded. Zara's voice shook as she spoke. Their fusion reactors are not fusion reactors. They are contained stellar cores. Each one produces more energy than our entire ship. And those projectile weapons I mentioned, they fire metal slugs at near light speed. A single shot could destroy a city. Maya Foster stood up from her station, her claws extending automatically. It was a Draknari response to extreme danger. That cannot be right. Our intelligence said humans only left their home world 200 years ago. How could they develop such weapons so quickly? There is more, Zara continued. Their ship's hull is not simple metal. It is some kind of composite material I have never seen before. According to my scans, it is stronger than our best armor. Much stronger. Bella Starforge was working frantically at her engineering controls. Captain, our own systems are acting strange. Ever since we completed the scan, I have been getting error messages from every major system. What kind of errors? Lyra asked. Power, fluctuations, navigation problems. Even our artificial gravity is becoming unstable. It is like the presence of that human ship is causing our technology to malfunction. Luna Nightshade suddenly cried out and pressed her hands to her head. Something is happening. I can feel it. What? Lyra demanded. The humans. They know we scanned them, and they are not happy about it. As if her words were a signal, the ship's communication system came alive. A voice filled the bridge, speaking in a language none of them had heard before, but their translation computers quickly converted it to Zephyrian. Unknown vessel, the voice said. It was female, calm and professional. You have conducted unauthorized scans of an Earth Defense Force battleship. Please prepare for standard first contact protocols. The bridge fell silent. Earth Defense Force, battleship. But the human ship was so small compared to Zephyrian battleships. Their own ship, the Starweaver, was twice the size of the human vessel. Did she say battleship? Maya asked. She did, Nova Dreamcatcher replied. Nova had been very quiet during the crisis, but now she looked up from her science station with an expression of growing horror. Captain, I have been checking our databases. This human ship, the USS Liberty, is not their largest vessel. What do you mean? Lyra asked. According to the data we just gathered, this is what humans call a patrol ship. A small one. The words hit the bridge like a physical blow. If this incredible vessel with its impossible technology was just a small patrol ship, what were their actual battleships like? Open a channel, Lyra ordered Luna. Channel open, Captain. Human vessel, this is Captain Lyra Moonwhisper of the Zephyrian Empire ship Starweaver. We meant no offense. We were conducting routine scans as part of our exploration mission. There was a pause before the human voice replied. Captain Moonwhisper, this is Admiral Katie Brooks of the USS Liberty. We appreciate your explanation, but unauthorized scanning of military vessels is considered an act of aggression by Earth Defense Force protocols. Admiral Katie Brooks. The human was an admiral and she was commanding what they called a small patrol ship. In the Zephyrian Empire, admirals commanded fleets of hundreds of ships. Admiral Brooks, Lyra said carefully, we were not aware that your vessel was military in nature. May we ask about your intentions in this sector? We are on a routine patrol mission, Captain. Earth Defense Force maintains patrols throughout this region of space to ensure the safety of trade routes and civilian traffic. Zara looked up from her station with wide eyes. Captain, she said trade routes. That means there are more human ships out here. Many more. Admiral Brooks, Lyra continued. If I may ask, how many ships does Earth Defense Force operate? There was another pause. Current active fleet strength is approximately 10,000 vessels, Captain, plus support ships and orbital defense platforms. 10,000. The number hung in the air like a death sentence. The entire Zephyrian Empire had fewer than 1,000 ships, and they had been building their fleet for over 2,000 years. Captain, Bella whispered, our engines are overheating. All of our systems are failing. What is causing it? Lyra asked. I do not know. It started right after we completed the scan of their ship. It is like our technology cannot handle being near theirs. On the main display, the USS Liberty had stopped accelerating and was now holding position nearby. Even sitting still, it looked dangerous. Lyra could see details of its hull now, and what she saw made her stomach turn. Those were not decorative markings on the ship's surface. They were weapons ports. Hundreds of them. Admiral Brooks, Lyra said, we would very much like to establish peaceful relations with your people. That would be wonderful, Captain, Admiral Brooks replied, and she sounded genuinely pleased. First contact is always exciting. I have already sent a message to Earth Command informing them of this meeting. They will want to send a proper diplomatic ship. A diplomatic ship? Maya asked. Oh yes, Admiral Brooks said. The Liberty is just a patrol vessel. For formal diplomatic contact, Earth will send one of our embassy ships, much more comfortable for extended negotiations. Lyra was afraid to ask, but she had to know. How large are your embassy ships, Admiral? Oh, not too big. About 5 kilometers long. They have full diplomatic facilities, cultural exchange areas, and of course defensive systems to protect the diplomatic staff. 5 kilometers. The Starweaver, was only 800 meters long, and it was considered a large ship by Zephyrian standards. Nova Dreamcatcher stood up from her station. Her face was pale with fear. "Captain, I need to speak with you privately." Lyra looked at her science officer. Nova had studied every known species in the galaxy. If she was frightened, there was good reason. "Admiral Brooks, we thank you for your patience. We will need some time to prepare for formal contact." "Of course, Captain. Take all the time you need. We will maintain position here and provide any assistance you might require." Lyra closed the channel and turned to Nova. "What is it?" "Captain, I have been studying the scan data and comparing it to everything we know about technological development. What we are seeing should not be possible." "Explain." "Every species in the galaxy follows similar patterns of development. First, they discover fire, then metalworking, then basic energy systems, and slowly over millions of years they develop space travel. It is a gradual process." "Yes, so?" "Humans appear to have done all of this in less than 10,000 years. That is impossible. But more than that, their technology is not just advanced. It is fundamentally different from anything we have ever encountered." "Different how?" Nova pulled up a holographic display showing the scan data from the USS Liberty. "Look at these power systems. They are not using the same scientific principles we use. It is like they discovered completely different laws of physics." Lyra stared at the display. If Nova was right, if humans had technology based on different scientific principles, then everything the Zephyrian Empire knew about the universe was wrong. "Captain," Bella called out, "main engines are offline. Life support is running on backup power. Whatever that human ship is doing, it is destroying our technology, just by being near us." Lyra looked around her bridge. Her crew, the most elite officers in the Zephyrian Empire, were all looking at her with fear in their eyes. And somewhere out there in space, Admiral Katie Brooks was waiting patiently in her small patrol ship, completely unaware that she had just shattered everything the galaxy thought it knew about power and technology. 3 hours had passed since first contact with the humans, and the situation on the Starweaver was getting worse by the minute. Captain Lyra Moonwhisper watched her crew struggle with failing systems, while the human ship sat peacefully nearby, apparently unaware of the chaos it was causing. "Captain," Bella Starforge called out, her cybernetic parts flickering weakly, "I have managed to get partial power back to communications, but everything else is still failing. I have never seen anything like this." "Any idea what is causing it?" Lyra asked. "The only thing I can think of is some kind of interference from their ship. But that should be impossible. They are not doing anything aggressive, they are just sitting there." Luna Nightshade looked up from her communication station. Her normally glowing blue skin was pale and sickly. "Captain, Admiral Brooks is asking if we need assistance. She says their engineers could help repair our systems." "Their engineers?" Maya Foster laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "What could primitive humans know about Zephyrian technology?" "Maybe more than we think," Nova Dreamcatcher said quietly. Lyra made a decision that 3 hours ago would have seemed insane. "Tell Admiral Brooks we would welcome their assistance." Luna sent the message, and within minutes the human admiral's voice filled the bridge again. "Captain Moonwhisper, we are happy to help. I am sending over our chief engineer and a small technical team. They should be able to diagnose the problem quickly." "How will they reach our ship?" Lyra asked. "Oh, we have a shuttle bay. Small transport craft for moving between ships. Very standard equipment." The humans had shuttles. Of course they did. Lyra was beginning to realize that humans had solutions for everything. 20 minutes later, Lyra stood in the Starweaver's docking bay, watching a human shuttle approach. The craft was small and angular, just like their main ship. It looked crude, but it moved with perfect precision and grace. The shuttle landed softly, and a door opened with a quiet hiss. 5 humans stepped out, and Lyra got her first close look at the species that was turning her understanding of the universe upside down. They were exactly as the scans had shown. Bipedal, with 2 arms and 2 legs. No natural weapons or armor. No psychic abilities. They looked soft and vulnerable, like they would break if someone looked at them too hard. The lead human was a woman with short brown hair and bright green eyes. She wore a simple blue uniform with strange markings on it. She walked up to Lyra with a big smile on her face. Captain Moonwhisper, I am Chief Engineer Dr. Iris Blackhole. It is such an honor to meet you. This is our first contact with another spacefaring species, Dr. Iris Blackhole. Even their names were strange. But what struck Lyra most was the human's excitement. She seemed genuinely thrilled to be here, completely unaware that her mere presence was terrifying. Dr. Blackhole, Lyra replied. Thank you for coming. Our systems have been malfunctioning since we encountered your ship. Oh, that is probably just quantum interference, Dr. Blackhole said casually. It happens sometimes when our ships get close to technology based on different physical principles. Do not worry, it is easy to fix. Quantum interference. Different physical principles. The human spoke about these concepts like they were basic knowledge that everyone should understand. May I ask? Lyra said carefully. What physical principles your technology is based on? Dr. Blackhole looked confused. Well, the standard ones. Quantum mechanics, relativity, unified field theory, dimensional manipulation. You know, the basics. The basics? Lyra felt dizzy. The Zephyrian Empire's greatest scientists had been trying to understand unified field theory for thousands of years. They had never even heard of dimensional manipulation. Could you show us how to fix our systems? Lyra asked. Of course. I see your engine room. Lyra led the human team through the ship. As they walked, Dr. Blackhole chatted cheerfully about things that made Lyra's head spin. She mentioned that the Liberty's engines were just basic controlled singularity drives, and that their weapons used simple quantum deletion beams. Controlled singularities, quantum deletion, simple. When they reached the engine room, Dr. Blackhole looked around with interest. Oh, this is fascinating. You are using crystalline energy matrices. Very elegant design. We used something similar about 50 years ago before we developed better systems. 50 years ago. The Zephyrian Empire's crystalline energy matrices were their most advanced technology, developed over centuries of research, and humans had used something like them 50 years ago before moving on to better things. The problem is harmonic resonance, Dr. Blackhole explained to Bella Starforge. Your crystals are vibrating at a frequency that conflicts with our quantum field generators. If you adjust the resonance frequency by about 12%, everything should work fine. Bella made the adjustment, and immediately the engines hummed back to life. Systems that had been failing for hours suddenly worked perfectly again. How did you know how to do that? Bella asked. Oh, we had the same problem when we first started using quantum field technology. Trial and error mostly. We are very good at learning from mistakes. You developed quantum field technology through trial and error? Nova asked, her voice barely a whisper. Well, yes. How else would you develop it? We needed better engines for long-distance travel, so we figured out how to make them. It took about 20 years of experimentation. 20 years. The Zephyrian Empire had been trying to develop quantum field technology for over 1,000 years, and had never succeeded. Dr. Blackhole, Lyra said, may I ask about your species' history? How long have humans been spacefaring? Oh, not very long. We left Earth about 200 years ago. Before that, we were stuck on our home planet dealing with various problems. What kind of problems? Dr. Blackhole's face became serious. Wars mostly, resource shortages, climate disasters, overpopulation, the usual growing pains that species face when they become too successful for their environment. And how did you solve these problems? The same way we solve all problems. We found better technology. When we ran out of oil, we developed fusion power. When we ran out of space, we learned to live in space habitats. When we ran out of materials, we learned to mine asteroids and convert matter at the quantum level. Convert matter at the quantum level. Humans spoke about rewriting the laws of physics like other species talked about cooking dinner. Is your species naturally aggressive? Maya asked. The question came out harder than Maya probably intended, but Dr. Blackhole did not seem offended. I suppose we are, she said thoughtfully. We evolved as persistence hunters and social cooperators. We are very good at finding solutions to problems, even when the solutions seem impossible, especially when our survival depends on it. What is a persistence hunter? Nova asked. Oh, it means we chase our prey until it gets too tired to run anymore. We are not the fastest or strongest species on our planet, but we never give up. Ever. The words sent a chill through Lyra. Never give up. Ever. No wonder humans had developed impossible technology in such a short time. They simply refused to accept that anything was impossible. Dr. Blackhole, Lyra said. You mentioned that the Liberty is a patrol ship. What are your larger ships like? Well, our battleships are much bigger, of course. About 3 kilometers long. They carry about 5,000 crew members and have much heavier weapons. Planetary bombardment systems, star-killer missiles, reality anchors to prevent enemy ships from escaping into other dimensions. That sort of thing. Reality anchors, star-killer missiles. The humans spoke about weapons that could destroy suns like they were normal equipment. How many battleships does Earth have? Lyra asked, though she was afraid of the answer. I'm not sure of the exact number. Maybe 800? Plus the dreadnoughts, of course, but those are much bigger. And then there are the fortress ships. For defending our core systems, 800 battleships, each one more powerful than anything the Zephyrian Empire had ever built, plus dreadnoughts and fortress ships that were even larger. Dr. Blackhole, Nova said. How many humans are there? On Earth? About 12 billion. But we have colonies on thousands of worlds now, so the total population is probably around 50 billion. 50 billion humans. All of them members of a species that never gave up and could develop impossible technology when their survival depended on it. Captain, Dr. Blackhole said to Lyra, Admiral Brooks asked me to invite you and your crew to visit the Liberty. She would love to show you around and learn more about your people. Cultural exchange is very important for peaceful relations. Lyra looked at her crew. They all looked back at her with expressions of terror and fascination. The smart thing to do would be to make an excuse and leave this system as quickly as possible. But she knew they could not run from this. If humans were as widespread as Dr. Blackhole claimed, the galaxy would have to learn to live with them. We would be honored to visit your ship, Lyra said. Dr. Blackhole's face lit up with joy. Wonderful. This is so exciting. Wait until you see our quantum gardens and the observation deck, and Dr. Johnson will want to meet you. She is our xenobiologist, and she has so many questions about other species. As they prepared to leave, for the human ship, Lyra realized that the universe had just become a much smaller and more dangerous place. The shuttle ride to the USS Liberty was the most terrifying 20 minutes of Captain Lyra Moonwhisper's life. Not because of any danger, but because of what she saw through the shuttle's windows as they approached the human ship. Up close, the UI, Liberty was even more impossible than their scans had suggested. The hull was covered with what Dr. Iris Blackhole cheerfully called standard defensive systems. To Lyra's trained eye, they looked like weapons that could destroy planets. And this was just a patrol ship. Those energy projectors on the hull, Maya Foster asked, pointing at massive arrays of equipment. What are they for? Oh, those are point defense systems, Dr. Blackhole replied. They automatically destroy incoming missiles, fighters, asteroids, anything that might damage the ship. They can track and eliminate about 50,000 targets per second. 50,000 targets per second. The entire Zephyrian Empire did not have 50,000 ships. And those larger installations? Nova Dreamcatcher asked. Primary weapons. Quantum disruption cannons mostly. They can delete matter at the subatomic level. Very clean. No radiation or debris. We try to be environmentally responsible even in combat. Delete matter at the subatomic level. Humans had weapons that could erase things from existence, and they were worried about being environmentally responsible. The shuttle docked smoothly with the Liberty, and the human crew welcomed them aboard with genuine enthusiasm. Admiral Katie Brooks herself met them at the airlock, and Lyra was surprised by what she saw. Admiral Brooks was a small woman, probably in her 40s by human standards. She had graying hair and laugh lines around her eyes. She looked like someone's grandmother, Not the commander of a ship that could sterilize solar systems. Captain Moonwhisper, welcome aboard the Liberty, Admiral Brooks said warmly. I hope you don't mind the informal tour. We were not expecting visitors, so we have not prepared anything special. This is more than sufficient, Admiral, Lyra replied, as they walked through the ship. Lyra tried to process what she was seeing. The corridors were wide and comfortable with soft lighting and what appeared to be artwork on the walls. It looked more like a luxury passenger ship than a military vessel. How many crew members do you have aboard? Kira Stormwind asked. About 500, Admiral Brooks replied. Though the ship could run with fewer if necessary, most of our systems are automated. 500 humans operating a ship this size and power. The Starweaver needed a crew of 2,000 to function properly, and it was much smaller and less complex. Admiral, Luna Nightshade said hesitantly. I have tried to read human thoughts, but I cannot. Are your minds naturally protected? Admiral, Brooks looked confused. Read thoughts? You mean telepathy? I am sorry, but humans do not have psychic abilities. Our brains are probably just incompatible with whatever method you use. But the barrier I felt around your minds? Oh, that might be the neural implants. All military personnel have them for communication and data processing. They probably interfere with external mental contact. Neural implants. Humans had computer systems built into their brains. Here is our observation deck, Admiral Brooks said, leading them into a large room with transparent walls. We can see the outside universe from here. The view was breathtaking. Space stretched out in all directions, filled with stars and distant galaxies. But what caught Lyra's attention were the other ships. Admiral, she said carefully, are those more human vessels? Admiral Brooks looked where Lyra was pointing. Oh yes, that is the rest of our patrol group. 3 destroyers and a support ship. They are maintaining a perimeter while we conduct first contact. More ships, each one probably as powerful as the Liberty. They had been hidden from the Starweaver's sensors, waiting and watching. How were they able to avoid our detection? Zara asked. Stealth technology, Admiral Brooks said, casually. Standard equipment on all our ships, we can hide from almost any sensor system. Dr. Johnson, Admiral Brooks called to a young woman working at a nearby station. Come meet our new friends. Dr. Johnson hurried over, her face bright with excitement. She was tall and thin with red hair and was carrying what looked like a scanning device. Oh my goodness, she said, looking at Lyra and her crew. This is amazing. 4 different species, each with completely different evolutionary paths. The biological diversity is incredible. Dr. Johnson is our xenobiologist, Admiral Brooks explained. She studies alien life forms. You have studied other species before? Nova asked. Well, no, Dr. Johnson admitted. You are the first intelligent aliens we have met. But I have been preparing for this moment my whole career. I have so many questions. Dr. Johnson began asking questions about Zephyrian biology, Draknari social structures, and Mindari telepathic abilities. Her enthusiasm was infectious but also deeply disturbing. She spoke about aliens like they were fascinating specimens to be studied, not potential threats or allies. Dr. Johnson, Lyra said, are humans not concerned about meeting potentially hostile alien species? Hostile? Dr. Johnson looked surprised. Why would you be hostile? You seem very reasonable. But surely you must have considered the possibility that aliens might be dangerous. Admiral Brooks nodded seriously. Of course we have. That is why ships like the Liberty patrol the borders of human space. If we ever encounter a truly hostile species, we are prepared to defend ourselves. How? Maya asked. The same way we always defend ourselves, Admiral Brooks said simply. We find better technology and we never give up. Those words again. Never give up. Lyra was beginning to understand that this was not just a saying for humans. It was their fundamental nature. Admiral, Lyra said, we need to contact our government about this meeting. May we send a message to our homeworld? Of course. Dr. Johnson can show you to our communications center. The communications center was another shock. The humans had equipment that could send messages across the galaxy instantly. Not the days or weeks it took Zephyrian messages to travel, but instantly. How is this possible? Luna asked. Quantum entanglement networks. Dr. Johnson explained. We set up paired particles at communication stations throughout our space. When you change one particle, its partner changes instantly no matter how far away it is. Quantum entanglement networks. Humans had solved faster-than-light communication, something the greatest scientist in the galaxy said was impossible. Lyra sent her message to the Zephyrian High Command, knowing it would cause panic throughout the Empire. She tried to be diplomatic, but there was no way to make the situation sound less alarming. Unknown species encountered. Technologically superior. Friendly, but extremely dangerous. Recommend immediate diplomatic contact. Do not approach with hostile intent. The response came back within an hour, much faster than should have been possible. The High Command must have used their emergency quantum transmitters. Captain Moonwhisper, you will escort the alien representatives to Zephyria Prime immediately. The Empress wishes to speak with them personally. Lyra showed the message to Admiral Brooks, who read it with interest. The Empress wants to meet us. How wonderful. I would love to meet your leader. But I should probably contact Earth Command first. Admiral Brooks sent her own message using the humans' instant communication system. The response came back in minutes. Admiral Brooks, you are authorized to proceed with diplomatic contact. Ambassador Sarah Martinez is being dispatched with a full diplomatic team aboard the embassy ship New Horizon. Estimated arrival at your position in 6 hours. 6 hours to cross interstellar space. Humans could travel between star systems faster than most species could travel between planets. I hope you do not mind waiting for our ambassador, Admiral Brooks said. Formal diplomatic contact requires proper protocols. Of course, Lyra replied, though her mind was reeling. In 6 hours, a human embassy ship would arrive. A ship 5 kilometers long carrying diplomats and weapons that could reshape the galaxy. Captain, Zara whispered to her, I have been monitoring galactic communication networks. Word of the humans is already spreading. Several species are mobilizing their fleets. To attack? Lyra asked. No, Captain. To surrender. Lyra was not surprised. Any species smart enough to survive in the galaxy was smart enough to recognize an impossible threat when they saw one. The humans had not conquered the galaxy through warfare. They had conquered it simply by existing. Admiral, Lyra said, I think there is something you should know about galactic politics. Oh? Admiral Brooks looked interested. The various species in this galaxy have been balanced in a careful state of peace for thousands of years. Your arrival is going to change everything. Change how? Every species is going to want to be your ally, and every species is going to be terrified of making you angry. Admiral Brooks looked genuinely confused. But why? We are very peaceful. We only fight when we have to. And that, Lyra realized, was the most terrifying thing of all. Humans were peaceful by choice, not because they had to be. They had the power to destroy the galaxy, but they chose not to use it. That made them the most dangerous species that had ever existed. 6 months had passed since first contact with the humans, and the galaxy was no longer the same place. Captain Lyra Moonwhisper stood in the observation deck of the Zephyrian diplomatic station, watching human ships move through space with casual ease that still made her nervous. The human embassy ship New Horizon hung in space nearby, all 5 kilometers of it gleaming in the light of the local star. Compared to when Lyra first saw the USS Liberty, the New Horizon should have been less frightening. It was, after all, a diplomatic vessel designed for peace talks and cultural exchange, but knowledge had made it worse, not better. Lyra now knew that the New Horizon carried weapons that could crack planets, engines that could outrun anything in the galaxy, and defensive systems that made it nearly invulnerable, and the humans considered it a peaceful ship. Captain, her aide, Lieutenant, Vara Silverleaf approached with a datapad. The Galactic Senate vote is complete, and unanimous. Humanity has been offered permanent membership in the Senate with full voting rights and veto power over all major decisions. Lyra nodded. It had been inevitable. In 6 months, humanity had not fired a single shot in anger, had not made any territorial demands, and had been unfailingly polite in all diplomatic contact. They had also made it clear that they possessed technology that could reshape solar systems and weapons that could delete matter from existence. The vote had not really been about giving humans power. It had been about making sure humans felt welcome and appreciated, so they would never have reason to use their technology for anything other than peaceful purposes. Any word from the Draknari Empire? Lyra asked. They formally surrendered last week, Vara replied. The entire empire. They sent a message to Earth asking to become a human protectorate. Lyra was not surprised. The Draknari were warriors who understood strength. When they realized that humans could destroy their entire civilization with a single patrol ship, they had made the logical choice. What about the Nexus Collective? They have offered to share all their technology with humanity, in exchange for a mutual defense treaty. The Nexus Collective, the most advanced computer-based intelligence in the galaxy, had run millions of simulations of human technology. Every single simulation had ended with the conclusion that resistance was pointless, and cooperation was the only logical choice. Captain, Vara continued, there is something else. The humans have made an announcement. What kind of announcement? Vara handed her the datapad. Lyra read the message and felt her blood turn cold. Attention, Galactic community. The Earth Defense Force is pleased to announce the completion of our first major infrastructure project since joining the galactic community. The Sol System Defense Grid is now operational and will provide protection for all peaceful spacecraft in local space. Additionally, construction has begun on the Galactic Highway, a network of stable wormholes that will provide instant travel between all major star systems. Estimated completion time is 18 months. Earth looks forward to increased trade and cultural exchange with all galactic species. Lyra read the message 3 times before she fully understood what it meant. In 6 months, humans had built a defense grid around their entire solar system and started construction on a transportation network that would connect the whole galaxy. Defense grid? She asked weakly. Automated defensive platforms, Vara explained. Thousands of them, each one equipped with weapons more powerful than our largest battleships. According to human officials, they can destroy any hostile fleet before it gets within a light year of Earth. And this galactic highway? Artificial wormholes that will allow instant travel anywhere in the galaxy. The humans say it will make trade and exploration much easier for everyone. Lyra sat down heavily in her chair. Humans were not just changing the balance of power in the galaxy. They were changing the fundamental nature of space travel and defense. In 18 months, any ship would be able to travel instantly from one side of the galaxy to the other. There is more, Captain, Vara said hesitantly. More. The humans have invited representatives from all major species to visit Earth for what they call a cultural exchange program. What kind of cultural exchange? According to Ambassador Sarah Martinez, they want to share human art, music, literature, and science with other species. They also want to learn about alien cultures. Lyra thought about this. On the surface, it sounded harmless. Cultural exchange was a normal part of diplomacy, but she had learned not to take anything humans did at face value. What do our intelligence analysts think about this invitation? They are terrified, Vara admitted. No one wants to refuse because that might offend the humans, but no one wants to accept because nobody knows what humans might show us. Meaning, Captain, humans developed their current technology in only 200 years. What if they show us how they did it? What if they share their scientific methods with other species? Lyra understood the fear. Human technology was based on principles that other species had never even imagined. If humans started teaching those principles to others, it could cause massive disruptions in galactic society. Has anyone accepted the invitation? Several species have agreed to send small diplomatic teams. The archive worlds are sending their best scholars. They say the opportunity to study human knowledge is worth any risk. A chime sounded, and Lyra's communication system activated. The voice that filled the room was familiar. Admiral Katie Brooks of the USS Liberty. Captain Moonwhisper, this is Admiral Brooks. I hope I am not interrupting anything important. Not at all, Admiral. How can I help you? I wanted to personally invite you and your crew to visit Earth as part of our cultural exchange program. After everything you have done to facilitate peaceful first contact, it would be an honor to show you our homeworld. Lyra hesitated. Part of her was curious about Earth and human society, but another part was afraid of what she might learn. That is very generous, Admiral, but I am not sure. Oh, I understand your concerns, Admiral Brooks said cheerfully. Visiting an alien world can be intimidating, but I think you would find Earth very interesting. We have some exciting projects underway that I would love to show you. What kind of projects? Well, we just finished building our first Dyson sphere around Proxima Centauri. It is generating enough energy to power our expansion into the next galaxy, and our terraforming projects in the Andromeda system are ahead of schedule. Next galaxy. Andromeda system. Humans were not just expanding through their local region of space. They were preparing to spread to other galaxies entirely. We are also making good progress on our dimensional engineering projects, Admiral Brooks continued. Creating pocket universes for manufacturing and research. Very exciting stuff, pocket universes. Humans were creating new dimensions for their industrial projects. Admiral, Lyra said carefully, how far do humans plan to expand? Oh, there is no real limit, Admiral Brooks replied casually. The universe is a big place and we are curious about all of it. Plus our population is growing rapidly. We need room for everyone. Growing rapidly. Lyra remembered that humans had 50 billion populations spread across thousands of worlds, and they were still expanding. Admiral, may I ask about human long-term goals? Long-term goals? Well, we want to meet as many different species as possible, learn about different cultures and ways of life, share knowledge and technology, explore everything there is to explore. And if you encounter hostile species? There was a pause before Admiral Brooks answered. When she spoke again, her voice was still friendly, but there was something else underneath it. Something that reminded Lyra that humans were persistence hunters who never gave up. We hope that does not happen, Captain. We prefer peaceful solutions to all problems. But if we do encounter true hostility, we will deal with it the same way we have always dealt with threats to human survival. We will find better technology, and we will never stop until the threat is eliminated. Those words again, never stop. Lyra realized that she was not just talking to Admiral Brooks, she was talking to the representative of a species that had survived ice ages, global wars, and resource disasters by refusing to give up. A species that had developed impossible technology because their survival depended on it. And now they were, spreading through the galaxy, not as conquerors but as explorers and teachers. They genuinely wanted to be friends with everyone they met, but if anyone ever threatened them or their allies, they would respond with the full force of their incredible technology and their unbreakable will. Captain, Admiral Brooks said, I really do hope you will consider visiting Earth. I think you would enjoy meeting our scientists and seeing our cities. And Dr. Johnson is still very excited about learning more about Zephyrian culture. I will. Consider it, Admiral, Lyra replied. Wonderful. Oh, one more thing. Earth Command asked me to inform all galactic governments that we are planning to begin construction on our first interstellar city next year. Interstellar city? A space habitat that will orbit between star systems, serving as a hub for trade and cultural exchange. It will be large enough to house about 1 billion residents from various species. We think it will help bring the galactic community closer together. 1 billion residents.